I'm going to start a new track. Stop. I recorded that whole conversation. I don't know if we want to give that to the patrons. Probably.
We do not.
No.
Please not.
Nope. Okay, and we're recording in 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Nintendo Dad's Retro Rewind. On this month, Zach, Marty, and myself are going to sit down and talk about Super Mario 2, the game that you selected. Hey, Zach, you got some sweet music? So if you do, cue it up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Retro Rewind, brought to you by Nintendo Dads over at VGTribune.com. Retro Rewind is, of course, our monthly expedition. Expedition? Sure. It's an expedition into the back catalog of Nintendo and all of the goodness there. Did I say my name is Zach Erickson? Joining me tonight is Justin Masson from Nintendo Dads. What's going on, Justin?
Doing all right, buddy. You're stumbling over a bit. Yeah. No, it's good to be here to talk some Super Mario Brothers 2, which I think is pretty awesome. And, of course, this is selected by our patrons over on Patreon.com. They voted for it. We played it. And now we get to chat about it. Speaking of chatting about awesome games, Marty Estes, how are you today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Ready to talk about what may be my favorite Mario game.
Really? That's interesting, because this is typically not what comes up.
Yeah.
I actually, growing up, I honestly, I'm kind of right there with you, Marty, actually. Like, as far as my favorite retro being like before the 64, like NES and the Super NES, this is my favorite of those.
I know it's kind of heresy to not say Super Mario Brothers 3, but the older that I get, I just had this realization a couple years ago. I was sitting around playing it, and I thought, it's my favorite Mario game.
It's so fun, dude. It is weird and quirky, and in ways that just make it stand out in some pretty great ways. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. We haven't really talked at all about it so far, and so I'm looking forward to getting into that. So I'm gonna fade out our music here before my phone dies and it just turns off anyways. But that is. I'm glad that you're so excited about this right now, Justin. How are you feeling about? So this game, I guess let's go backwards in time for a minute and talk about this game in context of when it was released and kind of how we enjoyed it. Did either of you guys play this when it was out, like when it was released?
I did.
You did?
I received my NES when I was 8 years old. It was the Power Pack edition. It came with the Power Pad, Track and Field, Duck Hunt, and Mario.
Nice.
And that was December of 88. So it wasn't very long after that I got Mario 2. And I just remember being maybe I got it in 87. I'm not sure. I just remember it wasn't long until I got Mario 2. And I just remember being
October 88 is when it was released. So
right. Yeah. So that's why I was saying it may have been 87. I was just astounded that there was a sequel.
Yeah.
And that it was not like the first one.
It was so weird that it was so much different.
Yeah. So I remember playing this as an 8-year-old, and it's like grown up with me.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I mean this game for me, and I think I've commented about it on Sean Capri's show. This game for me was really quite important in my childhood. Actually, I've told the story before about coming from a separated family and asking for this game for, I think it's my birthday or Christmas, from my dad, and it never showed up. And I just kind of shrugged it off as whatever it was, and several weeks had passed since Christmas or my birthday, and sure enough, this beaten up brown package shows up in the mail, and I unwrap it, and it's Super Mario 2. Despite it looked like it had been probably dropped on the mailroom floor and kicked under someone's desk at some point. It was just all beat up. But it showed up. It showed up regardless. And I remember I've had a long separation from my father, but this was one of those things that I remember just very distinctly in my mind, being there. It's this kind of weird, like, omen almost, or token. So Super Mario 2, especially being such a weird game as it is for me, actually holds very high emotional importance and connections to me, especially as a child. And I own it on, I think, every digital platform that I possibly could get it on, and I've just always kind of had it, kind of holding on to it in some way. But it was a really cool game for me in that way. And just, going back and playing it now, 30, almost 25 years later, for this, it just brings back so many memories, right, of that game. And you kind of realize, like, how difficult it is at times and how really precision based it is at times. And just how weird it is. Like, it is such an anomaly and blip in the Super Mario kind of realm. And it's also like, a lore or part of the Mario canon that Nintendo does a really great job in kind of always tipping their hats to their past in really nostalgic, loving ways. And they've done this, sprinkled this out throughout their games several times. 3D World is a recent recall. Stuff that we saw in Paper Mario Color Splash are all great examples of this. But they very rarely ever tip their hat back to this game. And they almost kind of like, this is like the lost uncle or your long lost uncle that no one really wants at the party, but he shows up and he's kind of cool, but only like after you really get to know him is he kind of cool, but the rest of the family don't like him and they want to pretend like he doesn't exist. And that's kind of where this game sits in the Nintendo pantheon. But I think it's interesting because I don't want to like spoil anything here, Zach, because you're gonna ask a question later, like, where do you want to see the Super Mario 2 franchise go? Right. But like, I would love to see them respin this, right, as like an alternative. Like, I'd love to see a new Mario where it's like there's this like alternative timeline. All of a sudden he falls back into this world again. And I know it's a dream, right? But like, I don't know. It's just there's so much there. And this game is, and I'm getting on my soapbox here, and I've talked about it before. This game is so important. Like this game is so important in the Super Mario lore that people forget that, right? This game gives us Princess Peach and Toad, as the first time as they're ever playable. They begin to have attributes that Nintendo takes and defines going forward. Luigi's kind of hover jump, right?
Yeah.
Princess Peach, Daisy, whoever's hovering float with her skirt. These are all attributes of characteristics that are now found in these games, and they all harken back to this game, a game that Nintendo really didn't want to make, and they had to use another game to get it out the door. Literally a skin of another game.
Think about this too, that it didn't just define attributes going forward. It launched Mario into other media, with whether you want to talk about it in a positive light or not, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was based off of Mario 2.
Yep.
The majority of it was based off of Mario 2, as far as, except for Bowser and some of the enemies. But I mean, you had all of those characters in there. You had the fabulous four of Mario, Luigi, Princess Toad, against the world. 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And, I really think, like, the question I wanted to ask you guys is this, do you think that Mario would have been such a big deal in the late 80s, early 90s, if it wasn't for Mario 2? Because, a lot of people want to credit Mario 3 as being like the best-selling NES game of all time, and how that turned Mario into the cultural phenomenon. But what took him out of the video game world? It was Mario 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the 1-2 punch there, Marty. I think it's the combination of Mario 2 helping push them out of that. I think there was momentum and build. I mean, Mario was a pack-in game with the NES, right? So the sequel, and everyone loved it. Everyone played it, right? So the sequel had to be there, and I think it was such a good sequel that it was just like the steam was building off of Mario 2. It's now got its own TV show, and so Mario 3 hits, and that just skyrockets, right? So I don't think Mario 3.
The wizard.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, the wizard helped give him that bump too. But I do think those the well-known Fred Savage bump, which if you have, make sure you take your ointments and cream to clear that up.
Yeah. 3 to 6 weeks.
But I do think those things all roll into it. But that's a really great call out in relation to the cartoon, because I didn't think of that. So that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, kind of going back to what you were saying before, Justin, about so many of these characters. I think with the exception of Birdo, Nintendo is very happy to just or Birdo and Shy Guys.
Yep.
I guess
snippets.
Big takeaway.
They've got the snippets.
Yeah. But other than that, there's not really much else that comes from this game.
The bomb. This is kind of where they've gone with that, and they've kind of kept what they've taken from Mario 2 and kept. Birdo, Bomb, Sniffit, and Shy Guy, and the little ninja guys. Like the little
black stars.
Yeah, the little black stars that jump up and down,
That you can currently see in Super Mario Run.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what the crazy thing about that is those guys are in one level of Super Mario World.
Really?
If you go in, there is a shortcut that you can take in the Dark World that is a back door into Bowser's Castle. That you play a shorter level. And it's full. It's like dark, and you hit these blocks, and it like lights up a disco ball, and helps you see through the level. And the enemies in there are Mecha Koopas and Ninjas, and that's awesome. It. Like you never see those, and that's what made me love this game even more when I was a kid, because like it expanded the Mario universe. It made it bigger, and it made it better. And like as a 9-year-old or 8-year-old playing this, and I'm thinking Mario used to just stomp on his enemies and shoot fireballs. Now he's picking up vegetables and throwing them. He's throwing all these. What is he going to do in the next game?
Yep.
Yeah.
It kind of gave the series this. Because how easy would it have been to tread out a sequel? Japan did it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To just trot out a sequel with different things. And they were differentiating Luigi a little bit, as a different character in a way with his abilities. But think about the massive leap just in world building that this was, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah. And there's so much vertical in this too, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a game that is so based on the verticality as opposed to the actual side-to-side scrolling, which was a huge change. And at times, actually, Marty, and I think you might appreciate this. At times, it reminds me actually of Mega Man, in that like verticality of going up. I think of like it's like 4-1 where there's ice blocks and you climb up a beanstalk. And there's a lot on the beanstalks on the right hand side. There's a lot of empty space on the left. You come up and you've got to kind of like go across. And it very much felt like at times that like, just give me a blast, the blue blaster, and it'll be fine here.
And there were things that like about this game that you had to. It wasn't intuitive. Like it wasn't stomp on the turtle, kick the shell, go left to right, make it to the end of the level. Yeah. There's one level in particular I'm thinking of, and it may be in World 5. I can't remember. You start at the bottom of this gigantic waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
And you jump up like 3 or 4 or 5 screens, and you're just on clouds. And you get to the top, and there's a Pidgey, like the bird thing, and the magic carpet.
Yeah.
And you have to time your jump. You have to do a super jump, get on top of there, throw him off, and then you just have to keep going up until you get to a vine.
Yeah.
And then
World 3 or something.
Then hope that magic carpet doesn't disintegrate before you get that vinyl. So you got to do it all over again.
Yeah, and then you got like World 7 where you go to the right, and it's like, why can't I go right anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get on top of the bird. And I've got to ride the bird all the way back to the left, and I've got to ride a rocket up to the next part.
Yeah.
And then it's all vertical from there.
Yeah.
It was completely like going from a Mario game where it was left to right only, and you couldn't go back.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden we're in like a whole new world.
Yeah.
A whole new world. Yeah. I knew it was coming, which is totally fitting considering where this game came from.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's probably, before we like jump too far into it, and for those of you that, and I mean, if there's any game that has documented the kind of the crazy history of Super Mario 2 is probably that game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just for let's give like a 2-minute synopsis of what actually happened in Japan. Super Mario, they wanted to make a Super Mario 2, which was fantastic. They make Super Mario 2. They send it over to the U.S. and the U.S. testers basically say like, whoa, way too tough, way too hard. This will not work in the North American audience. They basically send the game back to Japan with these notes. Japan then actually takes a game called Doki Doki Panic and then basically reskins the game. And that game with Doki Doki Panic was actually meant to be a game tie-in to Fuji Television's Media Expo. But they reskin it. The names, the characters, the themes were and then they send this back over to North America as Super Mario Brothers 2. It goes well. They decide to actually use it, and that's what we distribute out here is Super Mario Brothers 2. Now, in the in Japan, it's actually re-released later as Super Mario Brothers USA, and they got the original Super Mario Brothers 2, which was kind of like the Lost World, as I recall, for us. Lost Levels, right? So it was more because they didn't think that we could actually handle it. That they did a reskinned
Lost
version.
Levels is available on Virtual Console, by
Yep,
the way.
absolutely.
If you are interested in that, the actual what was called Super Mario 2 in Japan, that's what is known as Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, which is, at least it's on the 3DS eShop. I don't know if it's on the Wii U eShop, but yeah.
I don't know what you were talking about Mario 2 being what we know as the Lost Levels being so difficult. And I don't know what it is about games of that era needing to be difficult, but I was just reading about Mario 2 here that said that Doki Doki Panic, the source material game, its ultimate requirement to beat the game was to complete each level using each protagonist.
Oh, nice.
So you had to play each level 4 times.
Yeah.
And so they changed that when they made it Super Mario Brothers 2, and they added the run with the B button. That was not part of the original game. You could not run.
Really?
Yep. So,
Wow,
so the changes were, of course, the reskin of the 4 characters, the fluttering animation of Luigi's legs was actually originated by Miyamoto to justify his enhanced jumping. Like, oh, his legs are fluttering, so he's keeping himself up there longer.
Yep.
That's really fun.
Starmen were added, sound effects for coins and jumping. There were no sound effects for jumping in Doki Doki Panic. PAL blocks, warp zones were added, and Koji Kondo did the soundtrack. So if you ever, you get a hold of a copy of Doki Doki Panic, you're not going to hear the same music. You're not going to hear the same sound effects. You're going to see the same world, and but you're not going to see some of the same items and different things like that.
Wow. This is really interesting. I'm looking at this here. I'm looking at the original. So Doki Doki Panic was originally like this.
Arabian Nights kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the character designs of the original 4, and it's really interesting. Like,
it's a family.
Yeah, exactly. So like you've got Mario, which is like just this little dude. Luigi's is the most drastic change. It's almost like. It's like
he's a woman in the original.
Is he?
They call her, that character is named Mama.
Mama, which actually, I mean, it does, because of the bigger jump. It's okay, I see. And so it's the parents are what? Toad is the dad.
Yeah.
And then there's like the regular normal balanced Mario character, which is
I think Toad's the dad. Mario is the son.
Yeah.
Luigi is the mother, and then the daughter is Princess Toadstool. Princess Peach.
Yeah. And
I think were they still calling her Toadstool at that time?
Yeah. I think the first time we ever saw Princess Peach was actually, I want to say the first time I ever saw Peach, that was Mario Kart 64, but I could be wrong on that. If that was the first time. That's the first time I ever saw it.
I remember taking this, the manual for this game around to school with me, because it was back when the books that came with the game actually had like really cool art and stuff in there, And I remember like really getting made fun of for that as a kid.
Right.
Like, why are you carrying this game manual around? But I wanted to draw the characters, and I wanted to. I wish they'd bring back game books. I know they're digital, but
all right. Here's the name for Peach. This is under the Wikipedia, so you know it's true. In Japan, the princess's name has always been Peach since her debut in the original Super Mario Brothers. But she would go on to be renamed Toadstool in the English language manual. The English version of Yoshi's Safari in '93 marked the first usage of her name Peach in the Western world, although she would go back to being named Toadstool in Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. In Mario 64, which is in '96, she uses both names in a letter addressed to Mario, with Peach being used for her signature. From Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64 onward, the name Peach was kept unchanged for the English version, and the name Toadstool fell into disuse from this point onward, eventually making its last appearance in Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. There you go. The history of Princess Toadstool, aka Peach.
Wow.
She's always been Peach. That's surprising to me that her name has always actually been Peach, at least in Japanese. But there you go. The more you know. So yeah, like it's so interesting to me that basically, other than the original family, everything else was kept the same, right? Like that is like
there were some aesthetical changes, right? Like the bird mouths were changed differently than what they are for Doki Doki Panic. Like they're kind of more of a mask in Doki Doki Panic, whereas in Super Mario 2, those are actually like the bird mouths that open when you get the eggs and you go into it. So I mean, but other than that, like aesthetically, a lot of it stayed the same.
And that part always, as a kid, it creeped me out.
Oh,
like,
sure,
like,
yeah.
Why to progress in this game do I have to get in this bird's mouth?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks like more like a little weird mask or something.
Yeah, and it's just such a change of form, and I can only imagine like they had success with Super Mario 1, and they're like, how do we make like this part of anything? Like this doesn't. There's no pipes, right? There's no Bowser. Like how do we connect these things? And it's like, well, why don't we just say it's a dream? And someone's like, good idea. Move with that, right? Like it's a dream, so we can do whatever we want, and it's just fine. But
kind
of
like it's Awakening, right? Like
yeah,
sort of like, this is freaking weird. Why is there a chain chomp in this game?
It's a dream, right? And then obviously to then roll us into Super Mario 3, which is such a hit, and I think began to put even more foundational concepts into the Super Mario series that we see now, even more executed on, right? So it's a very important game historically. Yeah.
Very cool. Man, I'm just looking at this original, like looking at some of the promotional art from Doki Doki Panic, and that's what's weirding me out. Like,
yeah,
like weird. Like the fact that
well, you know why it's called Doki Doki Panic, right?
No.
So the actual title is Yumikojo Doki Doki Panic, which was Yumikojo was the name of the company. It basically translates to Dream Factory, that was releasing the game. Doki Doki is kind of it's like I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. It is it's a Japanese like onomatopoeia for the sound of a heart beating quickly.
Oh, okay, sure.
So it's like panic. That's really just the name of the game is a heartbeat and panic.
It's just like heart palpitations or whatever. Like
yes,
that's so
it was created by, like Justin said, Fuji Television. It was to promote the an event in 1987 called Yumikojo. Which,
here we go. It translated as Dream Factory Heart Pounding Panic.
Heartbeat Panic. Yeah, it's Wikipedia says it showcased several of the latest TV shows and other products at the time. So it was these guys, these four in the family, they were the festival's mascots. So the game was just intended to be promotion.
That's crazy because it's so good, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that's so surprising is that just for that it's just
They created this whole game.
it's so good. So I'm looking at this like, so comparing that to this sort of heart pounding panic, do you feel like this game portrays that? Like I guess for me, I am thinking when I first think of Super Mario Brothers 2 and heart pounding panic, right? Doki Doki Panic. I think of every time I picked up a key and had to go anywhere and a mask.
Yeah.
Masks like start moving around and it's just like, oh geez, I'm screwed. I gotta run. I gotta get the hell out of Dodge, whatever's going on, right? And just like get to where I'm going right now because some weird mask just started floating around and is on my case.
To me, it's those levels in the desert where you're caught between like 3 or 4 of those snakes that are shooting bullets out of their mouths.
Yeah.
And they're all jumping all around, at different heights. And I mean, there are some pretty tense areas in this game.
Yeah. Or you're digging a hole in the sand and there's the bad guys who are kind of like walking by and then they fall in the hole. So you've got to like dig a hole 4 or 5 blocks down, move over, do it again. Yeah.
No, that's totally true. That's terrifying.
Okay. So can I make a confession that when I first played this game, it took me about 3 days to figure out that you could pick up Birdo's eggs.
Oh no!
Like I'm saying, like the very first time I played it, as an 8-year-old kid, I was like standing on top of him. I'm like, why will it not pick this thing up? I just want to throw it, and then it's shooting its eggs. And then like one day I was just like standing on top of him and flying all the way back to the back of the stage. And I was like, one day I was playing it and I was complaining to my mom and she's like, well, why don't you pick up the egg? And I'm like, you can't pick up the eggs. I push the B button and it goes, whoop, makes that, pickup sound.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, I feel
you're like
really stupid right now. Cause I had been like, getting to the end of 1-1 and going, this game sucks. What is going on?
That's awesome. That's really funny.
I remember spending a lot more lives trying to kill that stupid mouse, and he's throwing the bombs. I used to always remember dying at that spot, but this time I was like very easily able to grab the bombs, place them back up there.
You can catch them.
Yeah, I know that's the point. Like I was able to. That's exactly what I did. Yeah,
I didn't know that until and really about the whole catching, action. I guess you don't really know that you can do that until the end of the game, unless you just happen to have it happen.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden you're at the end of the game and you're fighting Wart, who, by the way, is the most underutilized Mario villain of all time.
Yep.
I mean, come on. I fully expected that somewhere along the line we'd see him in like Mario and Luigi or, something like that. I mean,
he'd be like a great visit, like a villain for one of those like RPG games or something like that. That'd be great.
My gosh. Give me a Super Mario 2 RPG.
And that's a little bit of my point here, right? Like Nintendo kind of like tries to forget this game exists. And they don't pay it its kind of respect and tribute at all in any context. And I think that's a huge miss. I really do.
I flipped out in Paper Mario Color Splash the first time I walked into a secret door and it started playing that music, that it plays from when you're selecting your character.
Yep.
Is that when it's like the character select screen in Mario 2, but it's playing it in that room and I was like, they're about to do Mario 2 in this game. They're about to do Mario 2 in Paper Mario Color Splash. Oh my gosh. And then nothing else happened.
No.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, because I'm serious. I could sit and talk about this game literally all night. The soundtrack on this game was so good.
Yeah, that is actually one of my favorite things about this game is the soundtrack. Because
from the moment you drop out of that door in 1-1, you're like, what is this song? I'm doing a terrible version of it, but
I mean,
like
awesome. Keep going.
It's so recognizable. Like that's Mario music.
Yep.
It absolutely is. Yeah, no, it's
Now
oh,
now I want to play it like right now.
yeah. And it's it's funny because like hearing you guys talking about it, I actually like I had played it at a friend's house a bunch. I never probably got through the first world though, right? Because of just the nature of playing a game at your friend's house, especially on the NES where there was no save games, right? Like, so it was always like you boot it up and you play through the first couple of levels, and then I had to go home, right? And so, the NES Classic was actually the first time that I've been able to play through it in a way that I actually took the time to do it and really play as much as I could. And so I didn't finish it. Like I don't have the history with this game that you guys do. I don't have the muscle memory, I guess. I don't know, with some of this stuff. Like I was kind of figuring it out as I was going along. But just even, like you were saying, like some of the timing with some of those like later Birdo boss fights, like when all of a sudden, wait a minute, it's not just shooting eggs all the time, it's shooting weird fireballs at me now. What's going on? Right. And trying to get the timing, Birdo would start shooting eggs in a way that if you try to pick up the first one, then you're going to drop and then immediately be hit by the second one. Just stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what's going on? I can't figure this out. And so, but I'm going to keep playing through it as well. And it's really fun. This is maybe just the way that I play it. I don't see the value of playing as anybody other than Peach because it's so much easier with Peach because of the float. There
are stages that I need to play as Toad.
Okay. And what is so Toad is faster.
Toad is the fastest character in the game. He also has the crappiest jump. But he's also the strongest.
Yeah.
So he picks things up incredibly quickly.
Oh, okay.
So like the desert levels, when you're digging, you need Toad.
Oh, okay.
You got to have Toad because Princess, on the other hand, has the best or the longest hang time, but she's also the slowest character that picks things up because she's the weakest.
Right. Okay.
So you want to use her on like all level 1, use Peach.
Right.
But then like when I get to level 4 and I'm in the ice world, I need someone who's not too fast but not too slow and has pretty precise, moderately good jumps. So I'm gonna play Mario.
Yeah.
Right.
Mario's good around. He's all around at everything. And then Luigi will I like to throw him in just
for fun.
Just like everybody else. Treats Luigi.
I love that concept too, by the way, of like we saw them revisit this. You were saying before, Justin, like where would we like to see this go? The fact that they revisited the roles of these 4 characters in 3D World, right? Yep. Where they went back and they revisited this. It's surprising to me when they went back and did that they didn't pay more homage to Super Mario 2 at the same time. Like they took this concept right out of this game, and yet then they just went super bland with the rest of 3D World, which I thought was a big disappointment. But I would love to see them revisit this, and even just the idea of Dream stuff. Like I actually have kind of revisited. I have Mario and Luigi Dream Team on my 3DS, and I kind of revisited that a little bit. But just the idea of revisiting this Dream World, like Dream Team doesn't do that, right? Like Dream Team is just like weird. It's just,
and it was a total setup for that. Like
they totally could have done that. Yeah, they totally could have done that. They totally could have had because it's a dream, right? And so why is Wart not the one responsible or something? And that's really cool. I would love for them to revisit this.
Where the only other appearance of Wart has been, right? He has been in another game.
Smash Brothers Trophy.
Well, yes. But,
I don't know.
As an actual thing that you interact with, he is in Link's Awakening.
Is he really?
Yes. There is a giant frog character named Mamu, who you have to end up getting a very important item from. He's part of the trading game.
Okay, like
there's a whole like meta game that goes on in Link's Awakening where you trade for you eventually, if you trade all the way through, you get the boomerang, which for some reason is the most important item in the entire game, like the most powerful game period. And he basically no, let me take that back. I'm sorry. He teaches Link the third and final song for the ocarina, which is the Frog Song of Soul, after paying him 300 rupees.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
He remarks that the ones who hear the song feel more alive. He cannot be revisited afterwards. And he and his frog choir are away on tour, according to the sign outside the pond. But like when you go in and look at him in the sprite they use for the game, it's Wart.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I'm going to look this up. Wart in Link's Awakening. And
it's totally him.
Oh, it totally is, dude. It's exactly him.
Which makes that game even more cooler to me because it had all the Mario references in it anyway, with the chain chomps and Goombas and
oh, that's so good. I love that. You know what's interesting too is looking at Wart. It is so interesting to look at Wart's design. I'm looking at a picture of Wart and the Bowser from the Super Mario Super Show or whatever, and it's actually very surprising how similar those two designs are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So interesting bit of trivia that I just found here, and you can take it or leave it. Mamu is Wart's original name in Super Mario 2 in Japan.
Really?
Yes.
Man, see, this is
U.S. localization changed his name to Wart.
I like it.
So it's pretty much the same character.
Yeah. Dude, this is so cool. Right on, man. I love this game. This is one of my favorites, and what an awesome one to kind of round out the year too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also rounding out season 1, right, Justin?
Season
1 is now complete. 13 episodes in season 1 of Retro Rewind. Just, arbitrarily saying season 1. It is. We may kind of tweak things as we go to improve your listening experience moving forward with Retro Rewind, but I think that this is a really good note to go out on for sure. So cool. Do we have any emails or anything from people about Super Mario?
We don't. But what should people be playing right now for January is Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yeah,
that is what you should be playing right now. It's available on your Wii U or your 3DS. Yeah. So
play it on your 3DS for maximum enjoyment.
Yeah, we're gonna need to talk about real quick because I've never played that game before, ever. I've never played Link to the Past. I actually I'm farther in it now, which is not that impressive, but I'm farther in it now than I have ever been.
So you're experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah. Yep. I am. I have played through A Link Between Worlds, and that was the one thing that was kind of keeping me from playing this game. Was I had already played A Link Between Worlds, therefore why should I bother to play this? And it's a little bit, there's definitely similarities. It's interesting to play them in reverse, but also I appreciate it. There's something about playing this thing on the 3DS that is actually really enjoyable. Like it's just a good game.
Well, can I ask, since you are playing it for the first time, without spoiling anything for next Retro Rewinds, thumbs up or thumbs down?
So far, it's thumbs up. My only thing is that it's not. I'm used to more modern portable Zelda games that are a little bit more like they kind of tell you where to go. I am not opposed to using like walkthroughs and stuff though. But I'm at a point right now where I'm in the desert. I got the weird book to get into the desert dungeon,
sure.
But I can't figure out where the heck I'm supposed to go. Like I think it's just a matter of I don't remember how to kill some of the enemies that are in this temple. in the desert temple, because I got to the place where there's the big chest and I don't have the big key, and there's like different exits at that temple.
Do you have the bow and arrow yet?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so there's some enemies maybe in there. Do they like there's
laser beams? The laser beam ones?
No, like they look like big armored bugs. Like they have one eye.
Yeah.
You can shoot those with the bow and arrow.
And then they explode, right?
And they explode, but you have to hit them when their eyes are open.
Okay.
And so like a lot of them move in like a reverse pattern from what Link moves.
Right.
So like if they'll turn away from you when you're turned away from them. So or turn away, or they'll turn toward you when you turn away from them. So you shoot the arrow and then turn away. And it'll blow them up.
Okay. Yeah, see, I got to figure that out, but it's I really like it so far. It's I don't know, it's just fun. I'm looking forward to playing through more of it, because it is much more, it lends itself to the portable style very well. And cool. I definitely kind of over depend on save states whenever I play virtual console games, but so such is the nature of the beast. Is that how you say that? I don't know.
It's for tonight.
It is now.
All right, Zach.
I just started my playthrough of it tonight, so
yep.
I'm looking forward to. I'm actually going on vacation tomorrow, so I have that and the original Yokai Watch to finish up. I'm right at the very end. I'm just not as powerful as I need to be to finish it, but I've got to finish it up because I got Yokai Watch 2 for Christmas.
Nice. Are you bony or are you fleshy?
I am fleshy and my son is bony.
Excellent.
It's so bad.
It comes with age, man. It's just a natural part of the aging process.
Yeah.
It's just more fleshy. That's just how it works. I don't know. All right. Well, if you want to follow us on how fleshy we are, I don't know. You can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Nintendo Dads. You can go over to VGTribune.com and find the show. Follow us on all the YouTubes and everything. I don't know. Change the world with iTunes reviews. And until next time, this has been an episode of Retro Rewind from Nintendo Dads. And thanks everybody for listening. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't have the bumper. Hang on. Wait for the bumper. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
There we go.
Very nice. Well done.